Hello, teacher and everyone. My name is Nan. Today, together with my groupmates from Group 1, including Mimi, LS, and Chami, we would like to present how we use our finding and results to evaluate the underlying share value of Treasury Y Estate Limited. Along with that, we also focus the financial situation for Treasury Y Estate in the next 10 years, as well as the strength weakness of Treasury Y Estate based on product 5 forces. Before we go into details, let me show you the presentation outline. The presentation will cover 9 sessions in the following order. Let's start with the introduction. Treasury Wine Estate is a global wine company with a worldwide portfolio of wine brand and viticultural asset distribution products to more than 100 countries. There are many popular wine brands associated with Treasury Wine Estate such as Penfolds, Berliner, Lindermans, etc. It not only sells wine but also owns more than 30,000 hectares of vineyard with more than 3,000 winemakers, viticulturists, sales, distribution, and support staff. Besides the headquarters in Australia and New Zealand, it is also located in Asia, Europe, America, Africa, and the Middle East. Most of its large winery and vineyards are placed in America and EMEA, with current share trading price of $12.03. Treasury Wine Estate has been one of the top 4 big wine companies. In fact, it is now holding the highest market share of 13.5%. There are few competitors like Australia Vintage Limited. Next, I will identify 5 forces that affect the wine industry based on product approach. For rivalry, despite many competitors with same-size product and power in the industry, smaller companies will not have the potential to affect the market share due to high concentration ratio of top 5 wine companies, which include Treasury Wine Estate. Thus, we can say that rivalry in Australia wine industry has moderate risk. Similarly, the number of potential new entrants into a market is a moderate level. As premium price segments are growing in the domestic market, the consumption trend tends to have more well-known brands like Treasury Wine Estate. Thus, Treasury Wine Estate have more advantages compared to others. The total investment cost for the winery is high in Australia, but as the government offers an intensive support package to small medium businesses, it leads the threat and new entrants of Treasury Wine Estate to moderate. The wine industry has low threat of substitute. Why? Despite growing imported wine, Australian customers on average prefer their local wine. Moreover, the Australian market is considered the 10th largest wine consuming country in the world, and the customers are preferring premium products. Likewise, suppliers in this industry don't have much bargaining power. Because Treasury Wine Estate have their own farm and rented resources to produce their wine in many countries. Also, supplying for Treasury Wine Estate can bring many benefits for suppliers due to its high brand recognition, and this company will not have threat from alternative suppliers. Last force that can affect the industry is from customers. In wine industry, customers have moderate bargaining power. Treasury Wine Estate's customers are not sensitive to the price due to customer loyalty, strong brand image, and high product quality. Nonetheless, more country Treasury Wine Estate sells wine in more competition with different brands it has, and more choices customers will have, which can affect the price of Treasury Wine Estate wine in the same places. For the next part, my friend Alice will continue to present.
Hi, I am Piku. Now I will present the accounting methods of earning management used by TWA. Firstly, step 1. We identify the key accounting policy which is used by TWA. We recognize that the company uses Q1, which is the method to separate itself from its competitor to gain a competitive advantage, and is focused on both cost leadership and differentiation strategy. Step 2 is to assess accounting flexibility. The level of accounting flexibility in TWA can be considered as low. For the evaluation of accounting strategy in the third step, TWA has adopted an aggressive accounting strategy. For step 4, evaluate accounting strategy. It shows that the quality of disclosure is concluded at a high quality. In step 5, we identify potential red flags of TWA. The capital light operating lease is red flag for two companies, TWA and its competitor AVG, because the operating lease method to more than 20% of non-current liability. The last step is to undo accounting distortion. As TWA financial statements are high quality, so it does not need any distortion to be undone. In this slide, financial performance analysis, we would like to provide our evaluation for TWA in general. As you can see from my slide, we can generally all the element of activity ratio growing healthily over the 10-year period. To be more specific, really pay attention to fixed asset turnover, the orange line. It was an upward trend from 2011 to 2019. However, due to the pandemic, most of sales channels were interrupted, such as American channel. Therefore, its receivable turnover, the yellow line, increased in the past few years. But we still see a good picture for TWA operating. Moving on the liquidity ratio, you can see that TWA has very strong financial ability because their current ratio, the blue line, does perfectly cover the debt in the past cases, and the company does not hold too much cash in their hand. Instead, they tend to invest and use it effectively. The solvency ratio declines company ability to cover their long-term liability. In TWA case, we can see that the debt to asset ratio increased year by year, especially 2020, because TWA lost 21.7% in EBIT due to the COVID pandemic. Besides, profitability ratio means the company profit from the graph. We can see that the ROE, the yellow line, which is in 2019 and decreased 1 year later. Additionally, as I mentioned before, sales channel of TWA were interrupted, so it's not sense when its ROE also decreased. Different with other, the two-one analysis is the framework to single out which factors are the driver for ROE. After consideration, it can see that ROE is mostly driven by ROA, because both of them have the same growth pattern, such as improving from 2015 and growing down amidst the COVID. Moreover, to clarify our opinion, we also use correlation function in Excel, and the results show that there is a strong relationship between ROE and ROA. Okay, so that's all from my side. So now let my friend Mimi will continue the next part.
Hi, I'm Mimi. Now I will continue with the risk assessment model called Osman model. The risk assessment model is the model which is published by the ROI to predict the likelihood that a publicly traded firm in the manufacturing industry will become bankrupt in the 2 following years. In the risk assessment model, there are 2 models which are Osman model 1968 and Osman model 1983. As we can see in the slide, when we follow the 1968 model, TWE bankruptcy likelihood is allowed to medium risk for the next 2 following years. However, when we follow the 1983 model, the z-value of all years fall within the gray zone, which means TWE has a moderate amount of probability of bankruptcy during this period. For the next slide, I will present the financial forecasting of TWE. Financial forecasting refers to the utilization of visual management tools, which disclose the logistics information by knowing the business via historical, current, and anticipated financial conditions. For the financial forecasting, we only focus on the concerned financial statement. There are 2 steps. The first step is ratio forecast. As we can see in slide, the several asset turnover and dividend payout ratio are adjusted based on the average of all years, whereas operating profit margin, debt to asset, and financial debt to asset ratio are based on valuation value. The rest of 4 ratios are estimated based on the average of the last 2 years. Even the profit is expected to increase, however, the dividend payout ready to go down. The reason is because the company might be affected by the pandemic. Therefore, they tend to retain more earnings toward developing the firm during the period instead of paying the stockholder. The second step of financial forecasting is predicting the raw formal earning balances and cash flow of TWE. As you can see on the chart, the net assets of TWE are forecasted to grow double in the next 10 years. In another way, it means TWE will be able to pay off its debt in the future. For the net profit after tax and dividends, it is expected to grow over the whole period, and the trend of free cash flow also expected to grow starting from 2023. To sum up all reduction we make, it is forecasted TWE will have a good financial ability for the next 10 years. Moving on this session, we will estimate the cost of equity and cost of debt based on the CAPM model. As you can see, TWE cost equity is around 4.32%. To calculate this number, we figure out the risk-free rate, beta estimate, market risk premium beforehand. First of all, the risk-free rate is estimated based on the 10-year government bond. To get the current number, we calculate the average of 10-year Australian government bond issued in 2021. Next, to know the beta value, we investigate the relationship between the return of TWE stock price and the return of the Australian stock index. Then we got 0.487 for beta value. The last step is calculate the market risk premium. In this case, we recommend using 6% because since 2015, the market risk premium in Australia has fluctuated from 5 to 6%. Next, we will estimate the cost of debt by taking interest expense divided by interest-bearing debt. From the graph, we can see that the value is decreased. The highest cost of debt is around 70% in 2011, but it is an understandable number because TWE was founded in 2011, so they have to use debt to fund their operating activity. However, in the general, this value is around 7% for the whole 10-year period. That means TWE does not heavily depend on debt. After having cost of debt and cost of equity, we will estimate the WACC. We could use two methods. The first one is based on the market value of the company. The second one is based on the book value of the company. The only difference between these two formulas is V, stands for value of the firm. The value of the firm in the left-hand side is calculated by the share price times share outstanding, and the value of the firm in the right-hand side is total equity. And as a result, we got two almost similar values for WACC. However, we will decide to take the value based on the market value of equity for WACC with 4.47% because this value is more reasonable to estimate in the next part. After go through many models as well as forecasts, now we will evaluate the intrinsic value for TWE share. My friend Chami will continue with this part.
Thanks, Mimi. Now I'm going to present the valuation models. There are 6 models as slide shown. We have used them to figure out the intrinsic value of TWE shares. With several assumptions for each model, we believe that we can help investors in making decisions. We will compare the estimated intrinsic value with the current trading price of $12.03 and advise investors to buy or sell the share. I will summarize all models in this slide. As you can see on the slide, the major assumptions of all valuation models recommend investors to buy the company shares, except for one assumption of dividend discount model, which is that investors are expected to hold TWE stocks forever, and the dividend per share each year in the future is the same as the year 2021. Because the underlying value of the share is only more than $8, we recommend a sell. Similarly, all price to earning and price to book models, which are based on the mean and the median price to earning and price to book ratios of comparable firms suggest investors to sell TWE shares because the current trading price is believed to be overvalued. One assumption based on WACC of the Ocean valuation model also recommends a sell due to the intrinsic value of the company share being much lower than the current trading price. On the other hand, although the results of a discounted cash flow model indicate excessively high underlying values of the company shares compared to the price of $12.03, investors are still recommended to buy them. They just need to note that the intrinsic value will not exactly reach those prices. Considering all that we have covered in this presentation, there are some key points. Firstly, from Porter's 5 forces framework, we know that TWE used the weakness of the bargaining power of the supplier to control the cost, bringing an effective cost leadership strategy. It also uses differentiation strategy to obtain competitive advantages in the wine market. Additionally, the company has been doing well starting from 2015 to 2019. Especially, the financial ratio analysis implies the company's strong financial ability because its current ratio does perfectly cover its debt in bad cases. Likewise, the DuPont analysis shows that its ROE is mostly driven by the ROA, since the ROA fluctuated negatively while the financial leverage ratio increased. Both Altman's models also reveal that the company has low to moderate risk of bankruptcy, which is a good sign for the company. Regarding financial forecasting, it is expected to have a good financial ability for the next decade. Lastly, through the applied evaluation models, we recommend investors to buy the company shares. So that's all we have for this presentation. Thanks for watching.